This is Aditya Balaji here. So I welcome you all to today's webinar on intellectual property rights, cognizance in research and innovation. The webinar is conducted from School of Electrical Electronics Engineering in association with University Industry Interaction Center. And today's resource person for today's webinar is Mr. Ratan M. From UIIC. Regarding the webinar is mainly concentrated on intellectual property rights and copyrights. So this is a very important webinar. We always conduct this for every semester for all the year students. And the main importance of this webinar is to actually cultivate the patenting and copywriting uh, habit of the students so that they would actually get benefited by actually innovating new concepts and new ideas which can be actually patented and which will in turn help them in their placements. We have seen many students in our departments who have more than one or two patents to their name and which has also helped them in their placements. Okay, we have students at present in 8 semesters who have more than 3 to 4 patents and they have got placements from more than placement offers from more than 2 to 3 companies. So here today you're going to learn about what is intellectual property rights, what are the things actually you can patent. You can in fact patent your ideas also, since you have also undergone through design thinking course. So this would actually help you enhance your design thinking capabilities and patenting your innovations. So I kindly request you all to attend today's session. Okay, and please do ask your queries wherever you have doubts, and please don't take this session very lightly. This will surely help you in your placements, and most of us here are for our placements only, because at the end of 4 years all you need is a good job in your hand. And at Reva University during this pandemic time also we have given a lot of placement offers to many students. In fact, in School of Triple E, still our 8th semester is not over and we already have more than 70% of the students who are already placed and more than 35% of the students who are having more than two offers. But this will require your hard work, and patent is one part in that which will actually enhance your resume and give more weightage to your resume. So I kindly request you all to please pay attention to today's session, and please mute your audios, sorry. And in case if you're having any question, please do post your questions in chat box, or at the end of the session you can unmute your audio and you can ask the questions to the resource person. So let me introduce you to today's resource person. Mr. Ratan M works as a technical lead, technical trainer with UIIC Reva University. He has more than 4+ years of experience in technical training, 2.5 years of experience as an assistant professor in Reva University. He has completed his BE MTech with gold medals in computer science and is pursuing his PhD in data analytics under Reva University with 5+ paper publications and 10,000 plus students reached in 1,000 plus sessions across the world on various domains, including machine learning, IPR, placement training, and more. Okay, so hereby I welcome Ratan sir. So, and I would also like to thank Kiran Kumari Patil ma'am, Director UICC, for helping us and encouraging us in conducting such events, and Dean R&I and IQAC head Dr. Bhagwanlu sir, who all have been helping us and encouraging us to conduct the events on IPR. And we hope this event will be also be helpful to you all. So I kindly request you to please pay attention to today's session, and I hope you all take a lot of positives out of today's session. So once again, I welcome you, Ratan sir. The session is over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the very kind introduction. I
Thank you so
would
much.
just want to share my screen and just ask before I continue the session if everybody is able to hear me and see the screen.
I would request the
Yes.
students to please answer.
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect.
Yes,
So
sir.
to all the students joining in from first year especially, and other years of engineering, other academic years of engineering as well, I just want to point out one thing before we even begin the presentation. So this presentation, this whole session that we will be a very interactive session where I would be asking you all a few questions. Do not worry, no, nothing will happen if you answer wrongly, so not to worry. So we'll have an interactive session where I would like to ensure that you will learn as much as possible about IPs by the end of this session, so that in the future, whenever you have your own invention, whether it's a project that you're taking up, whether it's some research that you're performing, when you create your own invention, how to be the owner of it, how to make money off of it, and how to ensure that others do not steal your ideas even legally. So these will be the major points. So to begin with, thank you, Aditya sir, for the kind introduction, and thanks to everyone for joining in as well. So in today's session, the focus will be on IPR awareness to begin with. That is, most of us may not completely know about how IPRs work. So our first thought is to learn about what are the different kinds of IPs are there, and then we'll also see, in short, how we can file IPs by our own as well. So here's the content as far. So we'll just introduce ourselves to IPRs, and we'll look at all the different kinds of IPRs that are there and how we exactly use them in our real life. Which one do you opt for at what situation? So out of all these IPRs, which one would you opt for? Under what circumstances? Is something we should know. So we'll try to learn all of those in detail. So to begin with, let's just take a minute and look at what exactly is IPR. IPR stands for intellectual property right. So it's basically a right to something you own. So in other case, let's say for example, I'll just ensure to share the screen again. Perfect. So let's say it's just a right to something you own. So let's say for example, if you're buying a car, you're the owner of it, right? You'll have the registration of the car under your name and everything like that. So if anybody else steals your car, if you find someone else using your car, you have the right to get your car back and right to go legal against anything that anyone else would have taken your car or something like that. Similarly, intellectual property right is where you get registration for an invention from your intellect. You invent something, you create something, whether it's a song that you create, whether it's a new product that you create, which is gonna do something like rainwater harvesting or whatever it could be. Any invention that you create by yourself, you can specify that you're the owner of it and ensure that nobody else has the authority to create it, sell it, market it, or distribute it without your license or without your permission. That's basically what happens. So let us take a look at how this works. Now, before we go ahead, I just want to give you one example of where we use this in real life. Now, you may have observed whenever you see a YouTube video, many of the YouTube videos are either monetized or non-monetized. Even if you create your own, as young guys and girls, you create your own Instagram reels and all that stuff. So you basically know that whenever you create your own video, own content, whatever it is, if you use any music and it crosses certain number of seconds, your video cannot be monetized if it's in YouTube or something like that. So that is because even that music is owned by somebody else and you can't make money out of it by putting it in your video. So how do we get ownership of everything? You can get ownership of a smell, a scent, you can get ownership of a sound, of a dance art, of an invention, whatever it could be. So in our case, since you're from the School of Electricals and Electronics Engineering, the main purpose you will be using intellectual property rights is to protect your own invention. So we will be focusing more on this rather than these. So that will be our main focus. So to come up with this, I'll just take one small example. So we know that we are in this unfortunate situation of COVID since almost a couple of years. So due to this, a lot of companies and a lot of pharmaceutical industries have come up with their own innovations, have come up with their own inventive ideas, which were not existing before. Keyword, which were not existing before. So one of the institutes was Wadhwani Institute for AI, which created a new software. It was basically a software, an artificial intelligence based software, which identifies how you cough, and depending on how you cough, it gives you a percentage value, like based on percentage 0 to 100 percentage, based on the way you cough, what will be the percentage of confidence that you, let's say, have COVID or not. So they have created such a tool, and since they are the first team or the first organization to create such a tool, they patented it. Patented it means they ensure that they are the owners of it, which means nobody else can use this tool for commercial purposes in any way whatsoever without their permission. Now, I'll give you one more example as well. How many of you have heard of this? Pretty much everyone have heard of this drug, which is in a huge demand right now in the real world. So this drug remdesivir was not created for the purpose of COVID. It was not created for the purpose of curing COVID. It was initially created for the treatment of Ebola virus, which is a similar virus, but not entirely same. So when it was created back then, it was created by a company called Gilead Sciences in the US. So again, I'll specify this because this is an important part. Why I'm stating in US, you guys will understand in a few minutes. So it was created in the United States, and they claimed ownership of this because they're the first people to create this drug, right? Which was useful for something, and they wanted to be the owner of it. That company wanted the right to sell it only by themselves. So they got a patent done. In other words, they got a registration done stating that they are the owner of that particular drug, and nobody else can create, distribute, market, or sell without their permission. So they got it granted in 2017, and it stays for 20 years. All patents stay for 20 years, which I'll explain in detail later on. So only they had the rights to sell it. But if you see, many other countries, many other companies also sell it. Company like Hetero, or company like, let's say, Mylan, all these companies also sell remdesivir. So how did they do it? How exactly did they perform all of this? So the solution is, no, they did not license it from Gilead. They didn't get a license from Gilead. They still created it. They still created it and sold it. And if you observe, you'll understand why they were able to do that. It says for use in India only, not for export. The reason is, if you create a patent in United States, that patent is only applicable in United States. That means you are the only person who can create, sell, market, and distribute certain product in that country. Nobody else in that country has the right, because patents are territorial. But anyone else in a different country can still manufacture it, can still sell it without requiring your license. So now comes a question. Like in this case, you understand that you create something in India, and if you patent it in India, you're the owner of it in India, and nobody else has the rights to sell it or anything in India. But in a different country, they have the rights to do that because patents are territorial. So with this, we got to understand a little bit of idea about patents. So patent is just an intellectual property that gives you the ownership, that is the legal right. As I stated earlier, you're the only person to create, use, sell, and distribute certain product or certain invention. And it only stays for 20 years. That protection only stays for 20 years. So if you file a patent, we use the word file for those who are from first year, who are getting to know this newly. We use the word file whenever we submit. So I think one of you have unmuted yourself. So I request you guys to please kindly. All right. So if you would like to ask any question, feel free to unmute. But for any other point of time, please ensure to mute yourself. I'll just going on. So I've just muted the participant. One of you, I think. All right. So going back over here. So sorry for the slight delay. A couple of you had unmuted and probably didn't know it. So it's all right, not a problem. So as we get to know, so with the patent, you can be the owner of your own invention for 20 years only. That's the condition. It's not forever. After 20 years, your patent is no longer yours. That means you're still the inventor of it. But after 20 years, anybody else can sell it as well. They don't need a license. So if you want to create your own patent, if you say you have created your invention and you want the intellectual property right to ensure only you are able to sell it and everything, and you want to protect your invention as the inventor, in that case you can file the patent. File the patent is where we provide all the information about our invention to IP Office of India. This IP Office of India will see whether this invention is actually something new. It's actually an invention of ours, whether it's already created before or not. If they feel like it's an invention worthy of being given an intellectual property right, they will provide us the property right. The date on which you send this invention to IP office, that is called filing date. You can submit it online as well. You don't need to post it over to IP office. So the date on which you send it to IP office online is called your filing date. From your filing date, you basically have 20 years of time to ensure that you're the owner of it and nobody else is the owner of it. And this, since you're submitting it to IP Office of India, your ownership will only be within India. That is one thing we need to know. So with this idea, what we want to learn is, how do we get a patent? How, if let's say you want to create an invention, your mini project, whatever it is, you have some idea and you want to create a product out of it in the future. So how will you file a patent and ensure that you're the only inventor? So we'll see how to do that in the coming slides. So one thing we need to know is there are different types of patents. There is a utility, means generally a big invention, and utility model is generally termed as a small innovation. So these words, we don't use it in our country often, but these words, utility and utility model, are often used in European countries. We specify that something is a utility patent, something is a utility model patent in EU nations, but in India, we just generally specified it as a patent. That's it. Apart from patent, there's something else. Apart from your invention, there's something else called design patent, where you create a design, a new design that doesn't exist. And this design should only be for visual purpose. It shouldn't have any functionality to it. It should only be for aesthetic visual appeal. That's all. So we can have an invention, we can create a product, we can create a new design, we can also create a process, a new process to perform something. All of these can be patented. So I'll just give you a few examples, and then I'll give you guys a question, whether we can patent something or not. So one example, let me ask, have you observed that all iPhones come up with this curve? You guys may have observed it. Have you seen any other phones come up with the same design? Can you guys let me know? Think through. Any other phones with exact same design as an iPhone? No. Because what iPhone has done is, they have created their own aesthetic, that is visual appeal, design for their iPhone, and they have patented it. That means they are the rightful owners of it. Since they've patented it, no one else can use this sort of design for their phones for a span of 20 years. In this case, design patent have different span, which I'll explain later, but it stands for somewhere around 10 years. But here in this case, since they have created their own design patent for the visual design of their phones, nobody else can use the same design. Others have to use either square or some other oval shape or something else. So this is one example of a patent where you can protect your ownership and nobody else can use it. Now, let me ask you all a question. Can I patent a diamond? Can I patent this, saying that it's my invention?
No, sir.
Of course, no, because
No,
it's
sir.
already available, as you pointed out. Yes, because it's existing naturally. So it's more of a discovery, not an innovation. Since it's a discovery and not an innovation or not an invention that we create, we can't patent a diamond. But can I figure out a new process to create or to synthesize diamonds, a new process to create diamonds in lab and patent that process? What do you think? What do you guys think? I'm not patenting the diamond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can. So what we can do is, even though some invention may already exist, even though diamond may already exist, you can't patent a diamond, though you can patent a process, a new process that you create to synthesize diamonds in a different way. So similar example that I'll give, one case here. We know that vitamin B12 is something that's available in plants, vegetables, leaves and everything, a lot different things. So we can't patent B12. We can't say that we are the inventors of it. It's been existing for millions of years. What we can do is create a new method or create a new process to synthesize vitamin B12 in a tablet form. And those forms, I can patent it because that's a new invention. So this is something this particular company, Merck, did over and over again multiple times. They found out different processes to create these tablets. The more processes they found, they realized that we could patent all of these processes, and they did that. So I'll just give you this example here. This was patented on May 6th, 1952. If you observe this, they filed it on this date. So since they filed it on this date, from here for 20 years, nobody else can use this process to make vitamin B12 tablets. So as you see, this was a United States patent. So if we get to know this in India, of course, we can create the same. There won't be any litigations on that front, unless they patent it in India also. That's secondary. So you can see this is a title of the patent. See, here the name of the tablet is Neurobion Forte, but the title of the patent is something else, because title of your patent should always tell a person what is your patent about. Title of the patent can never be product name, can never be some fanciful name like this. Title of the patent should always explain what your patent is about to do. So if you create a new kind of, let's say, refrigerator, your title cannot be a fancy name for refrigerator like Samsung or something like that. Your title should always be a refrigeration unit in some form to freeze vegetables or something like that, whatever it could be. So with this title, they have then explained whatever it is about them and so on. So they've explained a lot of things. I'll not go in detail about this for now, but for now, just remember, they have given complete summary, complete description of what is their invention. Now, if they give complete description of what is their invention, isn't it public? That's a problem, right? It's public. You're giving out your entire invention details. What are you using? How much percentage you're using for what purpose? How much milligrams you're using of what to create it? Every detail you're giving, every detail you're giving. Then how will it prevent others from doing it? The idea is you're giving complete details of your invention to other people to show that this is your invention. Anybody who goes online and checks patents, they can find this patent online. If they still create something exactly same and sell it, then you can sue them for damages. So for this purpose, you have to explain about your invention completely. So if you're creating a new refrigerator, you have to explain about it entirely. What material you're using, how is it working, what is the base, and how are you using the freezing part, what solvents are using, everything you need to basically explain. So once this was done, later in 1962, same company, Merck, um, created a second way to produce vitamin B12 capsules or tablets, and they even patented that. So like this, we can see a lot of different patents where they explain every single detail about their invention so that others should know that they cannot do the same invention. That is the idea. Now, let me ask you guys, turmeric is already existing, right? It's already available, right? I cannot patent it. But can I patent usage of turmeric, usage of, let's say, turmeric for wound healing? Can I patent this? I'll say that turmeric, I can convert it into capsules or something, or I can convert it into a paste or something, which can be placed on top of a wound to ensure that it's an antiseptic and a quick healing thing. Can I do that? What do you guys think?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we're getting a little different answers already. Very
Yes,
nice
sir.
to hear. So some are saying no, some are saying yes. So in a certain way, if you do this in a certain way, yes. See, but remember one thing. Back in Ayurvedic texts, it's already written that turmeric paste can be used for wound healing. It's already written. So since it's already written, it's basically says that it was existing long ago. It cannot be my invention. If something is already written in proof somewhere in the world, then I can't claim it as my invention. So what happened was in 1995, for the same purpose, in United States, University of Mississippi Medical Center, they tried to create a patent which covered oral and topical use of turmeric powder to heal wounds and ulcers. So since it was already written in Ayurvedic texts, Indian patent agency wanted to fight against it, to oppose it and cancel the patent because it's already written earlier in Ayurvedic text. So it's no longer an invention. So since they patented it in USA, it should be contested in a US court, not in an Indian court, because the patent exists in the United States. So Indian patent agency hired a US patent lawyer and they fought against it in US court, and it was overturned, and this patent was opposed, and it was cancelled out. So if there's something which already exists before in prior, then you cannot patent it. I am using the word prior. I'll explain why this is hugely important later on. If there's something that exists in prior, then you cannot patent it. That's the whole idea. So with this, we can see that there are many patents that we can file, many different types of patents that we can file. I will focus on these four mainly. This is a part of this anyway, which you can use to create your own patent for any invention, so that you know where to patent, how to patent, and everything. Think about this, guys. If you're creating an invention that will only be sold in this country, it won't be sold anywhere else, then you can patent only in India. If you create some invention that you think can be used all over the world and you want to protect it all over the world, so you get the recognition and benefit of selling the product, then you can go for an international application as well. So think about this. So when you watch IPL matches, you guys know that now I think a lot of students are interested. When you watch IPL matches, you guys know that the bails light up, right? The moment the bails like are moved away from the wickets, they light up, indicating that the person is out. So this particular invention was also patented. Since it was patented internationally, whether for IPL, whether for any other cricket league who had to use it, they had to get a license from the inventor. Now imagine how much the inventor would be earning constantly because of this one amazing invention, because he patented it everywhere. So just inventing something isn't the most important step for you to earn from it. The most important step to earn from it is to ensure that you patent it so that you have the authority to commercialize it. Because if you're the inventor and somebody else steals it and sells it, then there's absolutely no point in you inventing it. So with this, let's look at a couple of kinds of patents. So guys, see, today, let's say for example, April 24th, you think about an invention. You have not created it. You think about an invention. You think that invention could be something huge, but you're not sure whether it will be or not. You're not sure whether you can implement it or not also. In that case, you cannot patent it, because patents only protect inventions, not ideas. So in that purpose, in that view, you can file a provisional patent. Provisional patent means you're filing an idea by asking the patent office, Indian Patent Office, a time of 1 year. You will be asking Indian Patent Office a time of 1 year, that is till 23rd, 2022. So you're asking a time for 1 whole year, stating that within this 1 year, whatever this idea you're putting it as provisional patent, you will implement it and you will file a complete patent. Complete patent is where you're telling that you have created this invention, this is how it works, and you want ownership for that invention. So that is a complete patent. If you haven't created that invention yet, you can take the idea, file a provisional patent. In a provisional patent, you just have to tell what is that invention, how will it work, how will you be able to create it. That's it, basic stuff. So once you send this to patent office, for 1 year, only you have the right to convert this idea to invention and patent it. If anybody else tries to create that invention and patent it, after you patent it provisionally, that is after you patent the idea, let's say I create the invention itself. If I create the invention on 25/4/2021 and I patent it on this day as well, then I won't be the inventor, because you have patented the idea. So you have the sole right to invent it within 1 year and patent it. If you don't invent it within 1 year and patent it, then anybody else can do that after that 1 year gap. So this is how you can think, like, even if you just think that it's an idea, it's not an invention yet, you can still apply for this patent called provisional patent. So if you just have an idea, you think you want to create an invention out of it within 1 year, go ahead, do this. That's a really good choice. So as stated, it should be filed within 12 months, and within 12 months, you need to file a complete specification of patent stating that it has been invented, this is how it works and everything. Failure to do so leads to abandoning that patent application. That's basically it. Now, apart from provisional, if you have already created an invention, then you can go for ordinary patent, ordinary or complete patent, however you may call it. Again, there are two ways to give ordinary patent. One, directly create an invention and patent it. Second, first patent a provisional patent, first submit file a provisional patent, then within 1 year, then provide an ordinary patent for that idea. So there are these two ways you can do it. So that's completely up to you. If you have already created invention, directly go for patent. Or if you only have idea as of now, go for provisional patent. So going ahead with this, when you create an invention, you need to provide all these things, like what is the title, what is the basic information about the invention, which field does it belong to, what is the background, like who else has created similar inventions, how is your invention different to some other inventions that have been created, and what is there in your invention, what is it aiming to do, what is the description in terms of drawings, how does it work in detailed description, any claims if you have, and abstract. So all of these needs to be specified in an ordinary patent when you submit it. I'll explain these with a real world example in time so that you guys can get to understand. So just to point out, if you want to file a patent, you just have to search online, just search for patent forms and fees. If you just search for this, you'll just get the link where you can get all these form details. So to submit any patent, you generally need these 4 forms. That is form 1, 2, 5, and 3. One is that you are applying for a patent. Second is where you're giving complete details about your patent. fifth stating that you're the inventor, sixth stating that you undertake any foreign filings by yourself, like that. And if you're filing a patent as your own startup company by chance, if you create your own startup company and want to file through startup company, you have to file another form called Form 28. So that will also ensure that your form filing fee is also lesser. So there are a lot of such amenities that are provided over here for this. But our focus is on types of patents right now, and a little more detail so that we can get to know how to file patent and what to do with it further on and so on. So there is another way that is called conventional application. This is where, think about this. I have filed in India. Let's say you have filed a patent in India. Now the problem is you think like, hey, my invention can be sold in Germany as well. So what I want to do is file it in Germany as well. But you've already filed it in India. You haven't filed it as an international patent. You have filed it nationally in India. In that case, you have 12 months of time since filing in India to file in any other countries as well, which belong to convention countries. In patents, you have a list of convention countries. So if you file it in India, then you can file in any of the convention countries within 12 months of filing in India. So if you feel like later on you feel like, hey, it could be sold even there, then you can do that. Then again within 12 months. But if you want to file it in all countries, 148 countries or even more, then you go for an international application. Here's how it works. You file an international application first, which tells you whether it is a valid invention to be filed or not. If it's a valid invention, they approve your international application. Once your international application is approved, it doesn't mean it is approved in all countries. It is approved in not even a single country. It is only approved that you can file it in all these countries. Once your international application is approved, you get 30 months of time to file it in each of these countries or any of these countries you want. If you cross those 30 months of time, then you won't be able to file it in those countries later on. So there are these different ways to file a patent. Then there's something called patent of addition, patent of division. Patent of addition is basically where you take two patents and combine it together as a single patent. Divisional patent is where you take one patent, one invention, and you think it can be split into multiple inventions, and you divide it into multiple inventions. That's basically it. So now, let me ask you all, based on what we have learned, are all of these statements correct? Is the first statement, is this correct? Patents protect a product or process. Can it protect a new product that you create or a process that you create? What do you guys think? This is where I need you guys to tell.
Yes,
Yes, it can.
Yes,
Absolutely
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Can it protect an idea though?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's like star conditions apply, right? This conditions apply if you think about this. So it's like you're winning 1 lakh, but conditions apply. Similar to that, patents do not protect an idea. There's conditions apply. If your idea can be implemented within 1 year, it can be patented. So I think there's some slight audio. Just
I request all the students.
all right. I'm so sorry to cut off Aditya sir. I think I clicked mute all, and Aditya
Yeah,
sir was-
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
very
sure,
sorry
sir,
for that, sir.
No, sir. Carry on, sir, carry on.
All right, sir. So going ahead, we can also see that patent protects an idea with a conditions apply. An invention, yes. A discovery, no. Because only when you invent something newly, that is when you can say that, yes, it's protected. Something that's already existing, you can't consider it as your invention. Now comes to one big question. Isn't it a monopoly? Think about this. Let's take hypothetically, I'm speaking hypothetically, Gilead company, which has the patent of remdesivir, looks at the demand of remdesivir, and hypothetically, let's assume in a scenario where they sell it for $10,000 per remdesivir vial or something like that. So are they eligible to do that? Can they do something like that? Isn't that a monopoly? There are certain rules to prevent it. Whether it's in Indian Patent Act or different countries' Patent Act, certain rules ensure that you cannot do that. There's Section 84 of Patent Act in India, which says that if you're not providing it at a reasonably affordable price, or if you're not providing it to the public properly, in that case, license of your patent can be granted to some other company also who can provide it at a cheaper price. And this happened, the first example that happened here was a German company, Bayer, which had a patented medicine called Nexavar. So they sold it at a very high price, and it was required for kidney and liver cancer treatment. So a lot of lower middle class poor people in India could not take it, could not use it. So a compulsory license was provided to another company called Natco Pharma, who sold it at a much lower price, affordable for people. So like this, any product, any invention which is required by people, if it's not sold properly to them, if it's not sold at a reasonably affordable price, then the patent office can provide compulsory licensing to other companies upon opposition. So to explain this, to go ahead with this to the next part of patents, see guys, you guys know aspirin, right? So basically when you have a headache or something like that, we take up aspirin. This was created by Bayer back in 1899. So since they invented it, guess what they did? Patented it. The moment any organization invents something, the first thing they do is patent it. So they patented aspirin back in 1899, and it was used for 20 years by them only. Only they could sell it. But due to World War I, between 1914 to 1918, they realized that a lot of people need aspirin. They relinquished the patent so that people can use it everywhere. So now any company can basically create this. Any company can sell aspirin and go ahead with it because its patent has been expired long ago. So I'll give you one more example, that is Zantac 150. This is a tablet that prevents heartburn and relieves heartburn and acidity generally. So in this case, Zantac, the moment their company which owns this product created it, guess what they did? Again, patented it. So the moment they created this product, they patented it. And the moment they patented it, under US, the title was not Zantac. Of course, title can't be something as fanciful. We've learned that earlier. So the title they provided was that it's a ranitidine solid dosage form. This was the name of the title because it consists of ranitidine, 150 mg, and it's in a solid dosage form. That's how they created it. Now, they filed it in 1994, and since it's expired in 2014, any other company can create this. That's why you can see this from many different companies. So next time you think there's some medicine, only one company is selling it, think again and check if that company owns the patent for it. If there's certain kind of a product that only one company sells and no other company sells, check if they own the patent for it. To check it, you can just go for patents.google.com. So this is a website where you can check for all the patents in the world by searching keywords. You want to search for patents on electric vehicles, certain particularly on solar vehicles or fuel cell vehicles, whatever it could be. You can search for all patents to see what is patented, what is not patented. So you can get an idea. If you don't know whether your invention is created or not, you can search in patents.google.com to get to know as well. So all of these are very valid to do. Now, let me ask you guys one small question. This is where I will ask you guys a very, very important question. Think of this. Let's say I am the inventor of this ranitidine solid dosage form tablets, and I create this by making a patent of it. And in this, there are two layers of the tablet. One is called immediate release layer, another is called sustained release layer. Both must be 50-50. If I patent it by saying my tablet consists of 50% immediate release and 50% sustained release, can someone else create a new tablet which has 48% immediate release and 52% sustained release? Can they do that? What do you guys think?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anybody says no? Anybody thinks that can't be done? Right. No. All right. So whatever, sorry, whatever you write in your patent is the word that your invention will stick to. If you write in your patent that you're gonna use 50-50 mixture of this, then anyone else can easily use 48-52 mixture. Anyone can easily use 47-53 mixture as well. So easily do that. So for this purpose, when you create your own patent, you need to be a little more intelligent in a way that you should never specify these exact terms. Instead, what they did was they stated that the ranitidine in the IR layer and the SR layer, immediate release and sustained release, was in the range from 30 to 70 to 60 to 40, so that anyone within that range won't be able to create such a tablet. Let's say the most effective range, sorry guys, the most effective range is 45 to 55, somewhere between this range. Then what they did was 30 to 70 to 60 to 40, they said that this is the range in which we have created. So that means nobody else can create within that range. So nobody else can create the same tablet whatsoever. So this is one way where people are a little more intelligent when they create their patents, so that others don't find a loophole around it. So as I stated earlier, once you specify the title, a little detail about it, like which field does it belong to? Here it belongs to pharmaceuticals and so on. They specify all of that. Then they need to specify background of the invention. Background of the invention is where you should search for other patents which are similar. These are the patent numbers, which are found in patents.google.com. Other patents which are similar, but they are not same invention as what you have created. So you need to explain that there are some other inventions which are not same as yours and how yours is different. Once you explain that, then you can go ahead with explanation of your invention. So this is how we generally write our entire patent details to submit it to patent office. So similar to this, I will not go through some other concepts, other examples, because that is not required for our domain. Those are for separate other domains. So to understand what we have learned so far is, again, if anyone would like to, they can take a screenshot of this. Here you have got a very good document on how to write a patent, because it's something that takes a long time for us to learn in depth. So if you're interested, this document is really well done. If you can take a screenshot of it and check it out later on, feel free to do that. Now, to file a patent, you first need to specify whether you're going to go for a provisional or complete patent. So to do that, you need to download forms and check the fees and submit it. So once you filed a complete patent, then that patent should be published. Published means it should be visible to everyone in the world, so that they don't sell the same thing. So publishing a patent takes 18 months. It is automatically done. If you don't want it to take 18 months, if you want it to be early, you can file an early publication request as well, which is another form that you can submit. So once it is published, then they have to examine, because they have to check, right, whether your patent is true or not, whether your invention is true or not. I can say I've invented a small box which can power an entire city, but if I patent it, and it's new, of course, but if I patent it and nobody examines it, then is it, how can they know that it's really true or not? So there must be an examination done of your patent. So that will be done within 2 months of filing the patent, and this is not automatic. You have to submit an examination form to have someone examine it, so that your patent will be granted. Only when your patent is examined and granted, only when the examiner says that, hey, this is a good invention, I am granting it, go ahead, only then you can license it to others generally. That's the idea. So examiner checks whether it's a new invention, whether it's useful in the industry, and all these things. So all of these are done by the examiner. So by this, they can either accept it or reject it or partially accept it. That means they will ask you to change a little bit about the invention, because some part of it is already invented, some part of it is already patented by others, which you cannot patent. So if you change that, you can, let's say, patent your product. So it could be any of these three. So this is the whole process. So during this process, anybody else can also say like, hey, your invention I have created as well. So you can't patent something that I have already created. So anybody can oppose your patent as well during this time. So going ahead from here, there's another type of patent, as I stated earlier, that is called design patent, which is only for visual appeal. It doesn't have any function. It's only for visual appeal, like different chair designs, which is only for visual appeal, nothing else. So such visual appeal things, whatever designs are there, can be patented under design patent, which takes 10 years of time, which will be granted for you for 10 years. If you want, you can extend it to 5 years ahead of it and so on. So that's the basic idea. So there are some restrictions again. It should be new, it should be unique and everything like that. It should not have any functions. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Are these similar? This is your Apple design patent. All three are Apple design patent. And this is your Samsung mobile phone. So are they similar? What do you guys think by looking at them? Are the designs similar?
Sir.
Yes. All right. Some of you are stating yes. So they are similar. So Apple had already created a design patent on these designs. And later on, Samsung created these phones. So since it is patented by Apple, anybody who is buying Samsung phone, Apple can think that somebody bought Samsung phone purely because of this design. But that design is our patent. So they are stealing our invention and selling the product under a different name without giving us any royalties, without giving us any money. So for this purpose, Apple sued Samsung in more than 20 countries. And this case dragged on for nearly 6 to 7 years. And finally, Apple said that, hey, you know what, forget every other country. I'm only going to sue you in USA, where most money can be made, because most of Samsung phones back then were sold in USA for a higher price. So that is why in US, they went to court, they went to multiple courts, lower court, then higher court, then the higher court, then the Supreme Court. And finally, Samsung had to pay Apple this much amount of money in damages by copying features of the original iPhone and misleading people to buy Samsung instead of Apple. So such things will happen. So with this, sorry. All right. So with this, one thing that we get to know. Yeah. If anyone has any question, please feel free to ask.
So the later on, which you said was that Apple has patented the side one. So even the notch thing, Apple has a very big notch. So they're not using that small notches because other companies have patented it or something like that?
It depends. Purely depends on the patent. I have not checked regarding the notch part of it, whether it's patented or not. But we can definitely go through patents.google.com to check, because every company wants their design to be unique so that people can recognize their design instead of any other company. So different phone company like Oppo, Vivo, Samsung, whatever it is, every company came with their own notch style. Yes. Some of them patented their notch style. That meant others cannot use the same design. Yes, correct.
And the side thing, that edges, they have patented all over the world, or like even MI produces some phones with the same side edges or similar to it.
Yes, as of late, some also produce similar to it. That's because of the design patent duration. If you check design patent of Apple and check when they expire, you'll get a really good idea of why some phones right now are coming up with certain designs of other phones which were there long ago. When their design patents expire, other companies are free to use those designs. So that does happen a lot in real world, even now.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thanks for the question. So with this,
Excuse me,
next-
sir.
yeah.
So there's a question which was posted in the chat box.
Uh,
So the question is, sir, it is from Srihari. So his question is, sir, if we do a patent in international application, okay, and in that within 30 months in all country, can any one person can they patent in their country also?
No, see, thank you, sir, for the question to be shared. Actually, to answer your question, see, if I send an international application, from the date when I send the international application, that patent is mine. From the date when I submit, that is from the date of filing my patent, not from the date of approval, not from the date of approval, from the date of filing the patent, that patent is under my name. So I have 30 months of time to patent it in all the countries. So I can patent it all the countries that I require within 30 months. And in those 30 months, if somebody else try to patent it, then it will be cancelled out because it's already filed by me as an international patent. That's the idea. I hope that answers the question. So
Yes,
going
sir.
ahead
Yes,
from-
sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So from this, we can see that there are three requirements to create a patent. One is that it should be new. You can't patent something that already exists. Second, it should be industrially useful. You can't patent something that can never be used in real life. Then the invention is of no point. So unless the patent is industrially useful somewhere in the real world, it can't be patented. And the third is non-obviousness, which is a gray area, morally something of a gray area, which I'll explain in detail in a little while. So the point in novelty is that if you're filing a patent, it should not be disclosed to the public anywhere. It should not be provided online anywhere. It should not be described in any other patent till date also. So all of these things are the novel requirements. So how will you get to know whether your patent is novel or not? To get to know, we perform something called prior art search. Prior means before. So it's basically saying that if I am creating an art, does that art exist somewhere before? To perform this, we call prior art search. So this is generally done by going through websites like patents.google.com, online, in various search engines. Everywhere you need to search whether your invention somewhere somebody has specified it or not. Even if one person has talked about it in some journal publication, in some patent details, anywhere, if somebody has described it before, then it's no longer an invention of yours. So before filing a patent and going through all those difficult tasks and getting rejected later on, one very important thing for every person to file to do is perform prior art search. And then it must be industrially useful. After industrially useful comes the final concept called non-obviousness. Now, I will tell you guys that I am creating, let's say, a drug to cure baldness. The moment you like ingest this medicine or drug into your body, within let's say 1 week, your baldness will be cured. The moment I say that, you may think like, hey, it's a good invention. It's a really good invention because you're not in the field of pharmaceutical. So you're in a different field. For you, it may look like a big invention. But for people in pharmaceutical industry, it may not look like a big invention because they may have seen it before. They may think that, hey, it's something anybody can think of, so it's probably not a big invention. To understand this, think about the turmeric example I gave. The turmeric example, people in US thought that, hey, it's something that we can create a patent out of. So we're going to patent the fact that we can create a paste out of turmeric and we can put it on any wound to heal it. But what they didn't realize that it is very obvious for people in India. It is very obvious for us because we keep doing that throughout our lives. We know that, our parents know that, their parents knew that. So in that sense, something should not be obvious. Something should be so unique and different that it should make the examiner think that, hey, this is invention worthy. It's not something I can think of every day. So that is called non-obvious. So just an example, a drug to cure baldness to a cricketer may be very non-obvious, but a drug to cure baldness to a chemist, if it's something that is something he has seen a long time, then it's very obvious to him. So non-obviousness is always checked by expert in the same domain. This is how they check it generally. So followed by these three, let me ask you one question. You guys eat sandwiches? Of course. Now, please don't get hungry. I know it's past 2 p.m., so please don't get hungry. We eat sandwiches. And within sandwiches, you add a lot of things like peanut grape jelly sandwich and all of this. Now, let's say you cut off the crusts. If you cut off the crusts and only take the remaining bread, whatever is there, and whatever jam is there in between that, and say like, hey, I've created a new invention. I've cut off the crust of my sandwich and I've pressed it hard enough so that the jam won't leak. And this is my new invention. Can you patent it? Is it obvious or is it non-obvious? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Is it obvious or non-obvious?
It depends on the ingredients which they have used, sir.
Ratan sir, I think your mic is muted, sir. Can you just unmute it?
All right, sir. I hope everyone can hear me well now. I hope I wasn't on mute for a long time, sir. So going ahead from this, let's go ahead with this. Now, here what we can see is that this sealed crustless sandwich was patented in United States. And they patented it with the description like this. There's a first bread layer whose perimeter surface is coplanar to the contact surface of plate or whatever it is. And there's at least one filling of some edible food. Now, they're not saying there's a filling of only grape and jelly. They're saying filling of some edible food. That means anything could be there. So this is how they write about their patent. This is how they write about their invention, which is unique and new. So this is how we get to know something non-obvious. Now, I'll ask one more question ahead here. That is this obvious or non-obvious according to you guys? This is a cleaning brush to clean surfaces. But since you have a mop, you have to put pressure and brush the surface manually. They have a battery operated brush which moves at some over 300 rotations per minute, so that it provides enough pressure to clean by itself. You just have to keep moving the mop on the surface. Is this unique? Is this patentable? If it's new, if it has industrial applicability, can I patent it under non-obviousness?
Yes, sir.
Of course, yes, we can. So this can be patented under non-obviousness. And what this company did, Clorox, is that they patented it, but they made one big mistake while patenting it. That is, they specified that the battery of this device is a lithium ion battery of certain mAh, milliamp hours. So when they specified this, what's the problem that created because of this? Can you guys think through and let me know what is the problem that created because of this? They had
Could use
specified.
different batteries.
Of course, absolutely. The moment you read this patent, you can use different battery, you can use different image, you can use lead acid battery instead of this. You can perform a lot of different things, and their invention basically proves worthless because other people can make very small change from it and sell it, and they won't be the entire owner of their entire product. So this is where it is very important to understand something called narrow and broad patent. Whenever you file for a patent, you cannot say that I am just using a battery. If you say I'm just using a battery, your patent will not be accepted because it says it covers too many things. You cannot just say something like that. You have to specify some detail. You can't just say that I'm using just a battery. If you keep it narrow, like I'm using a lithium ion battery in my invention, which exactly is 3000 mAh or something like that, then anybody can use something differently as well. So you need to include a combination of narrow and broad patents. You need to find some way where you can make a combination of them. Like my battery, the battery to be used could be any type, including lithium ion and lead acid, and it can be somewhere between 3000 mAh to let's say 10,000 mAh or something like that. Anything less than that, if it only works for 5 minutes or something like that, no point in it. You can leave that. So you can give a range, something like this. These are some ways where you can protect your invention better. So this is where we can see that when you want to file a patent, you first need to specify, as stated, and title. Title should not be fancy like Washwell soap or Universal Rest Easy patent chair. It should be specific. What is that invention? Like railway rail chair, whatever it is, the invention, it should be very specific about it. Then you have to specify which field it belongs to, then an abstract in a paragraph, then a summary, then drawings if any, and for each drawing you have to explain every part of the drawing, which I will explain in detail further on. And you have to specify claims. Now I'll state again, claims is the most important part of a patent specification, where you specify exactly what is it that your invention is, what is that your invention has, and they should always be specified in sentences, never in a paragraph. So again, I've shared one document link earlier, patent drafting manual. You can also check how to file patents in detail even in that document if you're interested. So you also have to specify background, whether there are other patents similar and what are their patent numbers, how are they different to yours. That's also called prior art search. And then you have to provide a detailed description of your invention, and finally, let's say, an abstract. So I'll just give you one example. This was patented back in 2005, so it's available till 2025, March 28th. So this was mop and a cleaning head member with a scrubber. So basically what we talked about in the previous example, that is of Clorox, same thing, but this was by Quickie Manufacturing Corporation. So they filed it back in 2002. So that basically means that it expires in 2022, September 26th. So here they specified what is their abstract, what is their invention, and what are these drawings, and they created a specific kind of mop. So when they create drawings, they need to specify what is each part of the drawing. They need to write the points, they need to specify every part of it in detail in the detailed description, where they're specifying what is number 16 does, what is number 34, what is number 16 here, and everything they need to specify, and each diagram they need to specify in detail, because you're telling everything about your invention, so that anybody else who invents it, they can never question that, hey, you didn't specify your invention clearly, that's why I'm inventing it and selling it. It's not my problem, it's your problem. Nobody else should say that, right? So for that purpose, we specified it very, very detailed like this. So followed by this, I'll just take a few more examples. Again, I will not go for domains that is not related to ours, because I want to focus only on our domain. So apart from patents, there are a couple of more important things that we need to know. That is copyrights and trademarks. We'll just take a small look on this. So copyrights are, so you may have observed a lot, like belongs to copyright something and so on. So every song, everything is a copyright. So copyright is applied not for inventions, but it is applied for anything that is artistic and anything that is creative. Anything that you create, which is not some huge invention, but it's some artistic or creative thing, like it could be a song, it could be a music, like you guys know that things like Britannia sound that comes up, or you guys may think of that IPL sound, whatever it could be. All of these are copyrights of their own organizations. So these copyrights are stated in such a way that they are the owner of those copyrights. Anyone else who has to use the copyright must take permission from them. So initially what happened was, copyrights were only allowed for 14 years and with an extension of 14 years. Then 28 years with an extension of 28 years. Then they kept on changing. Let me ask you guys one question. Is Mickey Mouse copyrighted? The character Mickey Mouse, can it be copyrighted? Is it an artistic and creative invention?
Yes, sir.
Of course, it's copyrighted by
Yes,
Disney.
sir.
So, Copyright Act, when it was created, it was, as I stated, 14 plus 14 years. Then it was 28 to plus 28-year renewal. Then it kept on changing. So the reason it kept on changing was because of Mickey Mouse, was because of Disney. What happened was, Mickey Mouse was created in 1928. So since there was 28 plus 28 years of expiry, that is 28 years for copyright, then 28 years of renewal, it was supposed to be expired at 1984. But then what they did was, they lobbied hard to make some changes in copyright, because Mickey Mouse created a lot of money for them. They didn't want others to use Mickey Mouse and create movies. Once the copyright expires, anybody else can make Mickey Mouse movies, anybody else can sell Mickey Mouse. Disney wanted to be the only person. For example, Sherlock Holmes. In the last 4 or 5 years, why did many Sherlock Holmes movies come out by different directors, different companies? Because its copyright expired. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who created the character of Sherlock Holmes, they expired a long time ago, and the copyright also expired a few years ago, a decade ago, something. So then a lot of TV series came under Sherlock Holmes. A lot of movies came under Sherlock Holmes. Why? Because it's no longer under copyright. So you can see why Disney wanted Mickey Mouse to be their copyright. So they lobbied hard to ensure that copyright can be author's life plus 50 years, or author's life plus 75 years for corporate copyrights, for company wise. So this pushed it out to 2003. But before 2003, again, they ensured that it should be life of the author plus 70 years. So this made sure that plus 70 years for individual and life of author plus 95 years for companies. So this made sure that 95 years means 1928 to 2023. So we have just 2 more years until Mickey Mouse goes to public. And even you can create your own Mickey Mouse movie, unless the laws are changed again. So the current law is that life of author plus up to 70 years, the copyright belongs to them. Nobody else can use that. So that is in other countries, but in India, we consider it as 60 years plus lifetime of the creator. So there are a lot of things that you can work through. Like for example, if you can you create a YouTube video with a famous song, that has come out recently, and play the whole song in the background, just keep dancing or something like that, and put it on YouTube and set it for monetization? Can you do that? Can you set it to be a
No, sir.
monetized video? No. Here's where I'll change the answer. No. You can dance and put a YouTube video song. Yes, you can do that, but you cannot set it to monetize. The moment you set it to monetize, your video will be removed by YouTube, because whoever creates a song, they have the copyright. When they have the copyright for that song, YouTube searches for all the other videos which are uploaded having that song using its own algorithm. If your video has that song and your video is monetized, that means you're making money out of your video which has their song, their intellectual property right, and you're making money which you can't. So they cancel out, they delete your video immediately. So this is something that happens. This is the reason why anybody who puts up the video, they cannot monetize it and they can put it on YouTube, or if they put it on YouTube and monetize it, it gets removed. So this is just a few examples I can give. So you can publish. Let me ask you guys a couple of questions. Now, let's go ahead from this. I'll ask you one or two questions. Let's say you're the author. You've published your work in January 2018. See, copyright, you need to register a copyright. So you're registering it in May 2018, but you've put your invention into public already in January 2018. Someone else has looked at your publish, wherever you're published online, in your blog or journal, whatever it could be. They've looked at it and they have created something based on that copyright in March 2018. But you haven't registered until May. So can you sue them? Can you sue them for the damages?
No, sir.
No, because
No,
copyright
sir.
is right. Copyright is registered in May, but they have infringed before it. Answer is no, because the register. See, here's the condition. There's one condition that I want to point out. When have you published it? January. When are you trying to register it? May. The point is, you need to register within 3 months of publication. If you don't register within 3 months of publication, you can't go for suing for damages. Now let's take for this case, you have published your song in January 2018 and you have registered within March 2018. Within 3 months you have registered after publishing. Now if someone infringes in February, can you sue them for damages? Not in March, I'm talking in February. Someone saying yes? Yes. Even though
Yes, sir.
they are infringing it
Yes, sir.
before your registration, you still can, because it is within 3 months after your publication. So there are a lot of such things that you need to know. But there's one way where you can use certain things. Like for example, even in YouTube and everything, you can monetize certain videos if you go through fair usage policy. For example, if you use it for personal use, research or education, if you create a video which is either critique or review video, at the start of the video in YouTube or in the description they say this video is only a review and we do not intend to violate the copyrights of any owner of something like that. They generally specify it because they're only critiquing something. Then you can. Or if you're reporting news or something like that, then you can. So these are some fair usage policies that can come up. So a few things cannot be copyrighted, even though we talk about copyrights, like expressions, only expression. If you just have an idea, it cannot be. Some common names cannot be copyrighted. Like you can see, no biscuit company is called Biscuit. They are called with some company name, some unique, fanciful name. It's not just Biscuit because it's a common name which can't be copyrighted. So certain things are there like that. So a lot of things can come up, as I stated, Sherlock Holmes as example as well. So followed by this, the final copyright that I just want to take a look at, in short, is trademark. A trademark is a symbol, a phrase, a word, or even music. Music can be copyright as well as trademark that denotes a specific product. So when I say different things. Like when I say IPL music, you get to know what comes in your mind. When I say what is the logo, symbol of something like any company, any general use company, symbol of, let's say, Apple, you get to immediately recognize what it is. Any phrase, any logo or phrase of any company, like OnePlus, for example, you immediately get to realize that it's never settle. Similarly, any word, just like this phrase, or even OnePlus, which is a name word, it can be trademarks. So all of these trademarks are to ensure that your company is known by people by these things. So they can be trademarked. Like for example, even Netflix, the moment you start playing Netflix, most of you are very familiar with it. The moment I say Netflix, the sound comes to your mind. So even that is basically a registered trademark. So all of these that you see, logo, phrase, music of certain company, which indicates their companies, are trademarks. So going ahead with this, trademarks only last for 10 years. You need to renew it for every 10 years post that. So with this, we have learned what are patents, how do we apply for patents, what are copyrights, and what can we apply as copyrights, what are trademarks, what are design patents. There are two more things that are called trade secrets and geographical indications. So trade secrets, think about it. Coca-Cola, is its recipe a patent? No, its recipe is a secret. If its recipe is a patent, then anybody else can also see it, and it will be out in 20 years. So they ensure that it's a trade secret, so nobody else can know it. Even if somebody gets to know it, Coca-Cola can't do anything about it because they don't have ownership of it. They haven't patented it. So that's something trade secret. If you don't want IPR, you can make it a trade secret as well. And there's something called geographical indication. You guys may know that some things are famous in certain places. Like the moment I say a certain location, you guys can immediately say what that location is famous for. Like the moment I say Darjeeling, you're like, hey, it's famous for? What is it famous for?
Station. Hill station.
Tea. Oh, hill station is secondary. All right. So Darjeeling is famous for its tea, right? That is created from there. So Darjeeling tea is famous for over there, and in different places, different products are famous over there. Like Kanchipuram, immediately say silk sarees are famous over there. So for different places, they create certain things which are unique to their geographical location. Like Darjeeling, of course, it's a hill station. It's at a certain altitude, which makes tea or coffee growing something like that very feasible. That's why its tea tastes different and better or unique compared to others. That's why they have a geographical indication for it. That's why it's famous under that name. So such intellectual property rights are also there, which are for particular locations instead of any person. So with this, we are now able to understand what are the common intellectual property rights, where do we use them, how do we create them, and how can we commercialize and make money out of our invention. So with this, I will give you guys these references. If you want to learn anything in time further, I would request you guys to please go through these links. It will hugely help you out to learn further on, and I hope that helps you out, and what you guys can work through and plan through your inventions. With this, I will now end my part of the session, and I'll ask if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask me, and any questions or feedback, whatever it could be, feel free to ask, guys.
Sir, there's
So, do patents even apply in developing games or any software?
Yes, very nice question. You can patent even games and software. So I'll just give you one example for this. See, you know that when some games load, there comes mini games, right? Like when some game is still loading, you can play some mini games instead of that game. So that was patented by a certain company. I'm not sure which company was that, Nintendo or something like that. Since they patented it, no other company could patent that invention, that idea. You cannot patent an entire game, but you can patent something inventive within a game. You cannot patent an entire software, but if there's something very inventive in that software, you can patent it. Like the very first example I took, a software which hears your cough and identifies whether the person has COVID or not. So such things can be patentable.
sir, and again, it's like Instagram is already a big company. So Instagram stories, if I upload a story, I there is no such thing that I can view the exact person with search type. So if I invent and write a code for the search thing, can I patent that thing?
If it's unique, if it's see, it is industrially applicable. As you say, there's no such thing. It's industrially applicable. If it's unique and if it is non-obvious, nobody else can think of it, then you can patent it. In India, software patenting is a little bit of a gray area. You can't patent any software. In India, you can only patent a software as long as it is connected to a novel, unique thing with a hardware also. So any software should be connected to a hardware uniquely to be patented when it comes to India. Very rarely softwares directly get patented. But on the other hand, you can always copyright your patent and license to others. Copyright your software and license to others in India. That is very easily doable. So I hope that answered your question. So if there are any other queries, please feel free to ask, guys.
Sir,
Let's.
There is one question. I think
Yes,
it was posted long back. It is from Srihari again. So his question is, sir, if we patent one electrical machine, after the patent, if someone takes our research paper and if they upgrade the electrical machine, can they patent their names? So this was his question, sir.
Yes. So to answer this question, a very good question, because you want to protect your idea, right? So think back to the example that we took long ago about Merck's product on vitamin B12. So they patented a process, right, to create vitamin B12, and they found a better process. Once they found a better process which improves this process, they had to even patent that. Because if they don't patent it, and if someone else patents it, that becomes their idea. You create some unique change in, let's say, electric vehicle, a unique change which improves the vehicle in some way. So you can patent that. So if you take that current patent and improve it, you can patent that also. So any improvement of your patent, someone else can also patent, as long as it's not the same. That's the condition.
Thank you, sir. So there's another question.
Sir.
The question is, can the duration of the time, that is 30 months, be extended to apply in other countries due to some force? I don't know what is the he's trying to exactly ask,
No
but the
problem.
question is mainly on the extension of time, that is 30 months duration in other countries.
In international application, I generally stated earlier that this 30 months of time, under certain circumstances, if you request the IP office stating that for certain reasons we couldn't patent it, for certain purposes we weren't able to continue ahead with it, and we are trying to patent it in this country after 30 months, kindly provide us the opportunity or provide us the as a request to continue ahead, then there could be a chance. I say could be because the rule states 30 months. Ahead of that, it depends on individual IP office response. Right. So I hope this entire 1.5
Excuse me,
hours.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So his question was mainly if it actually his is under the act of God, okay, that is if under the act of God, can there be an extension of duration of time? That was his question.
It purely depends on IP offices. They need to accept it. I get your
If,
point. Like
to be very precise, if he wants extension of time, so he has to contact the IP office.
yes, sir. Individual IP offices of those nationalities. So
Okay,
they
and
need to. Yes, sir.
and yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, sir. There is another question also. So
Yes,
this question is from Vijay K. Sir, if we create any new video in YouTube, can we get a patent for my video, sir?
No. At Vivek's question, see, patent is for a new invention, not for a new video. A video that you create by yourself is your creative expression. Every creative expression goes through a copyright. In your video, if you're dancing, go for a copyright of dance. In your video, if you're singing, go for a copyright of that music or something like that. So you can go for copyrights, but never patents for that.
Sir, this ID Fresh Food, so they have their own legacy and their own
They are
policy for
patent.
making that. Okay, so the batter something. So if I
Yes.
if I somehow got to know how much percentage all the stuff they're using, and I use it for my personal usage, so can they sue me?
See, in this case, as long as you're not monetizing it, it doesn't matter much. But see, I'll give you one example for this. There's this company called Monsanto, which creates genetically modified crops, genetically modified organisms. So they created this genetically modified crops of soybeans, right? So if you get to access these soybeans somehow through your friend or something, you grow it, you use it for yourself, fine. Nobody gets to know, no point, no problems. But if you somehow get these soybeans, you're having a big farm, an acres of farm, and somehow Monsanto soybeans are contaminating your natural soybeans, and due to Monsanto soybeans, you're getting the advantage of like the reason they genetically modify it is because they don't want the crop to get a disease easily. So all your natural crops go, but your genetically modified crops remain, and you sell them. And this actually happened. There is David versus Monsanto case. If you want, you can Google it. It's also in YouTube. David versus Monsanto case. In that case, David had contaminated his natural soybean land with Monsanto's GMO soybean, and since he sold it, he commercialized from it, he profited from it. Monsanto took the money from him. So the main point whenever it comes down is if you're commercializing it, if you're making money from it, then you're basically you're eligible for to be sued for damages. In other case, there are some fair usage policies, just like copyrights for patents as well. If you just search fair usage policy for patent, you'll get to know complete details about it as well.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
So I think, sir, we don't have any more questions. I think we have answered everyone's queries. On behalf of School of Triple E, I would like to thank you, sir, for actually, I know you have been lately taking a lot of sessions across the other departments. And once again, I thank you wholeheartedly for taking time and taking this webinar session. I think our students have taken a lot of positives out of this session. And to be very precise, this IPR and copyright is very, very important. If you actually don't know, please do ask your seniors in the 8th semester how this patenting and how publishing a patent has helped them in actually their interviews, building their resumes, and most of them, they have almost 2 offers in their hand. And so that is why I tell, and you are the first batch who have gone through the design thinking course also. So please, in this lockdown time wherein which you are in your home, please do utilize this time to think something, something innovative, and which we can actually apply for patent. Our university at UIIC, we have a IPR cell. We have all the resources available. We will surely help you. You just need to come up with an idea or an innovation. We are always there to actually help you and guide you to get a patent. And considering the current scenario and push from our Prime Minister of Atmanirbhar Bharat, there are a lot of people who are coming up with startups. So this will actually help you guys to build your own career. Okay, become an entrepreneur. Take this positives out of this session. I'll be also sharing the recorded video of this, and
Also, the video will be available on the YouTube channel of our department. So in case if you are having any further queries, please do let me know. I'll also share the contact details of the sir. Also, if you come up with any innovations or any ideas, please do let us know. We are always there to help you in patenting and copyright. Now maybe you may not understand, but start thinking. This is the first step to know about what is IPR and what is copyright. In the coming sessions, we'll also arrange a webinar on how to actually prepare the filing of patent or copyright, how to actually prepare, how the actual website looks, what are the different forms. So that also will conduct a webinar on that. That will give you a complete idea and how to prepare and all. So this is just to give an idea of what can be patented, what can't be patented, what is an actual copyright, so that you can start building your ideas now and come up with an innovation or come up with a draft copy also. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ratan sir and all the participants who have joined the session. Thank you once again. And please do take care of yourself. Stay in home, stay safe, use sanitizers, use masks. Okay, so we are going with a very difficult situation around. So please do take care of yourself. Your health is very, very important. And at School of Triple E, we all the faculties, we are available to help you at any point of time. Please do contact us in case of any problem. We are always there. But most important thing, please do take care of your health, take care of your parents, and please be in touch with your mentors. In case of any problem, do contact your mentors, and please always keep your mask on. That will actually help you, and do use sanitizers. Avoid going out, avoid going out where there is a large gathering, and please take responsibility of your health. And as I said, School of Triple E, Reva University, we are always there to help you in any case. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks to everyone as well for joining in throughout the session. And thanks for the platform as well at Aditya, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.